I'm Sister Sandra Ndingwa. I'm Shona and Zimbabwean. I come from a province called Mashingo, and I was born in a Catholic family, and I was baptized at a very tender age. Where I grew up in, the village where I grew up in, or the parish where I come from, there weren't really many sisters, but there was one local congregation, the SJI Sisters. But we didn't really get, as young people growing up, a chance to interact with them. So at the age of around 15, when I felt that God was calling me to enter religious life, I didn't know where to start. I didn't know even the existence of congregations. And I actually thought sisters belonged to one congregation. I also didn't know that there were international groups of sisters. But there was one family in the center where I was going to church, which had a priest in the family. So I thought that would be a starting point for me to find out from them how best I could go about it. So when I approached that family, the lady I spoke to gave me contacts, and she's the one who told me that there are actually several congregations. So she gave me a few addresses. And it just so happened that the first address of the three that she gave me happened to be an address of a presentation sister by the name of Sister Maureen Morehouse. And that's how I got to contact the presentation sister. Because from that time onwards, then I was in touch with them until I completed my high school education and then joined the sisters in 2006. Up to the age of 14, it had not really crossed my mind. Although I'm reminded now constantly by my family that maybe I used to talk about it, but I don't have a recollection myself. But from the moment that I made that decision in my heart that I wanted to join, and the moment that I shared with my family and even the sisters at my first contact stage, I was very confident throughout, because I remember I attended the first what we call come and see workshops for just for a weekend in Marondera, and that was in 2002 December. And when we came to the end, to the closure of that living workshop, I told the sisters that I was going to join them after was it Form 3, Form 4, Form 5, after about 4 years after completion of my high school. And when I went back home, I never really wrote to the sisters. I never communicated with them. They also thought maybe I'd forgotten about it. And even with my family, I never kind of talk about the whole story over and over again. I just told them once, I want to become a sister, and they gave me money to attend a workshop, and that was it. So I told them, I said, I'm going to join after my high school, what we call A level or Form 6. And when it came to that stage, when I just completed my A level, I was very clear in my mind, in my heart, that I wanted to go to the convent. Nothing had really changed over the period of the 4 years. Actually, the zeal or the enthusiasm or the interest was even growing, because as someone growing up in the church as a youth, I was more and more involved with the youth groups and different prayer groups. So because maybe my relationship with God was deepened each day through the various activities that I was involved in, be it at school or at church, in the different youth groups, I felt that I was deepening my core each day. So when the time came for me to enter, I was very clear that this is what I really wanted to do. There, for me, I think there are a lot of attributes or a lot of factors really that control that. To begin with, as I highlighted earlier on, that I was born in a Christian and Catholic family. So my parents would have been like the very first people to introduce me to the faith. And throughout, even up to this stage, still my parents play a very key role in my faith development or my faith story, because they would have then availed me to, or kind of exposed me to, the life of the Catholic life or the Christian life in general. And that kind of planted a seed for me as a child that was growing up. And of course, then I was mentioning about the different youth groups. those ones became important in my religious story, because when, as part of my growing up, I had to move out at some stage and stay with my aunt, who happened not to be Catholic. So the only people who were very close to me at that point in time, in terms of my Catholic faith, would have been the youth, the teenagers I was growing up with. And it so happened that in the area where I had gone to do my education at that particular time, they were vibrant kind of young people who had this taste, this longing for a closer relationship with God. To the extent that my school was very close to a church, although it was day school. We would go as a group, even during lunchtime, to say a rosary, for example. Or would go to study church in the evening, after which would say different novena prayers, or would even organize a fast as a group. So they became that very contributing to a contributing factor also to the life that I grew. Because the calling then for me came in as a result of what I was doing at that time, and my involvement, even in the church activities and the interaction I was having with people in church, and my own relationship with God. And I felt, if this is so beautiful to kind of live in that space where you feel that I'm very close to God, what more if I give my life totally to Him? It must be more beautiful. That's how it just happened, simply like that. And my parents, like I said, they continued to guide me. They continued to nurture the faith in me. A lot of them, but anyway, I'll mention a few. To begin with, for me, the first highlight for me was that day, the 6th of January 2006, when I left home, when the sisters came to my home place. It's quite a long distance from where the sisters were coming from to come to my home, but maybe a day's journey, kind of. So when they came to meet my family and talk to them briefly about what I decided to do and seek a blessing for my family and from my family, and that was the major highlight at that stage of my entry into religious life, that I was coming to become a sister finally, and this is what I had longed for in the past 5-6 years of my life. And then, as I was proceeding in the training, or what we call formation process, of also to not also would have been my first profession, what we call the very first stage of like taking the vows of religious life, the vow of poverty, obedience, and chastity. That stage in the year 2008, December, I was really overjoyed, because from the time I joined and up to that time, I had been in the company of a few other young people, and most of them had not been able to make it. So you would be interested to know that at some stage in my time, in my life, in my journey, then I would have asked myself, how come all these other ones are living and I'm still here? Am I going to survive? What's going on and all that? So when I came to that stage where I actually said, okay, I've come to that stage of making even the first profession, it was another highlight. And of course, the recent one, making my final commitment, which happened in February 2015. I felt again it was something that I'd waited for a long time, to really say to God, here I am, and I've really come to do your will for life.
Oh, wow, interesting. Thank you so much, sister.
You're welcome.
Thank you.